Welcome to The Audacity, the podcast by women for women. And I guess the men brave enough to listen.
They're not wrong, though.
Because we have a very special guest today, and he is a man, and his name online is the Public Offender. And if you've never heard of him before, you are in for a treat. We cannot wait to introduce y'all. And as always, we want to give a very special shout out to our TVIP members. We have Ariel Aura, Kahona 07, Krista, what's up, Krista?
What's
and
up?
Someone Somewhere.
Woo!
Thank
Welcome.
And we also have some new tea spillers, and those are Heather Wrestler, Ms. Damia, Nia Imani, Sani, and the Rack Girl 769.
Woo!
Welcome, tea spillers.
Welcome.
Yeah, so those are different perks. And if you're new to the Patreon, be sure you check out all the tiers and maybe see if you would be interested in supporting us, because we do try to offer some cool perks to everybody. And yeah, if you're just looking for some extra content or extra blogs throughout your week, please be sure to check out the different tiers on our Patreon. And if you're not signed up yet, please be sure to go sign up, even if to join as a free member. We would love to have you.
Oh, our new VIPers get to send in a voice memo. That's been our newest feature.
That's right. Yes, please send us your tea if you're a VIP tea member.
Is there a time limit on that?
Yeah, it's 60 seconds.
Oh, okay.
I hope you ladies have some hot tea for us. But before we do that, let's give our poll results, our Patreon and on the Spotify. So we're going to be reading both results. So the question was, have you ever been in a relationship with a man who was addicted to porn? If so, what was the most damaging effect it had on your relationship? The options were: he became emotionally distant and disconnected from real intimacy. His expectations in bed were unrealistic and made me feel inadequate. He prioritized porn over our relationship, leading to trust issues, and it led to secrecy, dishonesty, or even infidelity. The winning answer on the Patreon was the first one. He became emotionally distant and disconnected from real intimacy. That one got 34%. The expectations got 32%. Prioritized porn over relationship got 11%. And secrecy, dishonesty, or infidelity was 24%.
Oof.
And on the Spotify, the winner was unrealistic expectations, with major trust issues coming in second, leading to infidelity coming in last at 10%, and emotional distance coming in at 19%. Thanks for voting, y'all. And I'm sorry that happened. That's a bummer.
So, are we doing tea?
Yes, let's have some tea. Go ahead, Sovereign.
So, what do you guys think about the SAFE Act? It's basically a way that they are trying to make sure that only American citizens can vote.
Oh, no,
Oh,
this
I
is the
think I
Married
saw
Women
that.
Can't Vote
Yes.
Act. And you know what? I never changed my last name officially, and I knew there was a reason. I knew there was a reason. I never changed my married name, and now I can vote.
Yeah, it's basically, it's got to be like one of the first couple things that they talk about in Project 2025 was keeping women from being able to vote any way that they knew how to do it. And this was one way.
And I have talked about it earlier on my TikTok, and people were, again, saying I was fear-mongering. Well, I'm hoping I'm wrong, right? I don't want to be right about this. But if they're saying that you can't use your ID as a form of identification, that won't be enough. You have to have a birth certificate and a passport or whatever, and your last name has to be the same. Then I'm thinking like, okay, what group of people would change their last name like in a high number? Because, people change their last names all the time. Right. People who get adopted, or people, I was saying earlier about the trans community, people will change their names and whatever else. But the main group of people who would just not have their last name right about now are married women. So I think that they're just trying to find loopholes to suppress voters. Like, if they can cut down however many million or whatever, women in particular, during election time, then that's what they're going to do. They're going to find whatever loophole. That's my theory. Of course, if you say this to anybody down at the registration place, whatever, they're going to probably look at you like you're crazy. But this is one of those things that if they're coming for our rights one by one, we can't let one thing slip under the cracks and be like, oh, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Oh, I'm not going to worry about it. Because then we'll look up and we're literally in the Handmaid's Tale. Because now we're like, how did this happen? We don't have a right to vote. DEI was passed. That's probably going to kick a lot of women out of the workforce.
First
right?
and foremost.
You know what I mean?
And it's going to be white women first and foremost.
It is.
To both of these, by the way, to both of these.
Absolutely.
Because it's white women that feel the most pressure to change their last name or are the most, likely to end up married. White men are the most likely to end up married.
Yep.
And there's always that pressure to change your last name. So now if it doesn't match what's on your birth certificate, which is crazy because they have to know that people get married and change their last name.
That's the point. They do know that. That's why they're using this loophole.
Yeah. It's sinister because it's the first thing that you have to think of, right? Otherwise, you're not critically thinking about the law that you're passing. But the problem is they are critically thinking, which is why they are doing it like this.
Yeah. So I just don't want I don't want women to ignore this and think it's not a big deal because that's how they get you. That's how we look up in 5 years and we've lost 12 rights. I'm just making up a number when I say that, but I'm just saying and it's like, how did we get here? This is how. These little baby steps that don't seem like it's that big of a deal in that moment. And absolutely it's going to affect white women first. Mm-hmm. It's going to affect them first. But of course, anything that affects white women in this country is automatically going to affect minority women by default. So it's just going to trickle down. Yeah, and it'll be worse. So this is all women. We're all in the same boat, whether you want to think you are or not. Mm-hmm. I have never gotten married. I don't plan on ever getting married. So this isn't something that I'm worried about as far as that goes. But when it comes to DEI, that wasn't really a Black person's thing either. I still don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't affect Black people.
Black people have only ever gotten in on merit. Like, I hate to break it to y'all, but
that's what I'm saying.
Nobody has ever, people are not in the habit of hiring incompetent Black people. Like, that's just not a thing. Show me if it is, but that's just not really a thing. And it's mostly white women that get in on DEI. And frankly, white men, because DEI is when somebody assumes that you need to get a job because of your race. And that happens most often to white people, just so y'all know, because this country is racist. So by default, it's not happening. Even if people wanted to hire a Black person for DEI reasons, they would still just automatically hold them to a higher standard before they would be impressed with their work.
Yep. So that's why I was like, why are Black people so mad about the whole DEI thing? They're like, well, I'm boycotting Target. I'm like, well, you have every right to do that, but I wasn't really. Yeah,
it's not even. Yeah,
that's not going to do anything.
There was a TikTok of a lady who was trying to figure out, about the whole DEI thing, if all the white women would actually be affected. And I actually had a comment and I'd be like, actually, Danica Patrick, who is the only female race car driver for NASCAR that I even know of. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the only reason that she got in to be able to race cars, not only because she was good, but also because she was a woman and NASCAR really needed, the female demographic to be kind of catered to. So they milked the shit out of her fame and kind of propped her up as this kind of marketable person for women to be able to enjoy the sport. Be like, see, we're not all boys club, yet she is still the only female race car driver out there that I know of.
And they did that with Taylor Swift, too, because they used her, NFL Taylor's version, but they also let her get booed at the game.
Yep.
And they didn't do anything about that. I would have blasted a horn or something. If y'all really care about her, protect her. I don't know. Y'all are going to profit off of her. They don't care. Exactly.
But even the thing with Danica Patrick, I don't think it's too many women that would want to be a race car driver because we are the ones that are like, it's dangerous, slow down to your husbands and your baby daddies. We don't want to be in cars where it's going at rapid speeds.
That is one of the most unnecessarily toxic macho man activities.
Sports. Yeah.
400 laps come on, what are we really doing here? I did just want to say, by the way, though, that unfortunately, the way that this is going to affect, I think, Black people is that we bring up Beyonce later in this episode, but her mom actually has a story about somebody on purpose misspelling her name on a birth certificate and they refused to spell it properly. even when she would spell it out, they would spell it wrong. And so that affects people's voting rights too. And that's something that white people have been given permission to do, by the way. It is to be openly racist if they want to be. So that is one, you know, unsettling part of it. I don't want to play it off lightly like, oh, this is just going to affect white women because you're right, Sovereign. Like, it's going to affect people across like the intersectionality, you know, structure that we have to like think of all this in terms of. The more of those you have, the more it is going to affect you. And people are going to be more openly hateful now towards like disabled people as well, towards, you know, the LGBTQ community. It's just people have been given permission, unfortunately.
Which is absolutely diabolical. But that's where the whole Karen trope came from. Like when Black people or any race of people that's not white, well, no, I would say some white women too. But we will use the Karen name as like you are a openly racist white woman, and we're calling you out on your Karenism. Is what I like to call it. So, yeah, it's like they were already kind of bad with that. But yeah, I do see that getting worse now, which is going to backfire on them anyways, because, you know, it's been backfiring. I've been seeing videos and articles about women saying things and then they'll get fired from their job or, you know, something like that. So, yeah, I mean, it'll backfire big time because all you're doing is showing people who you really are. And once you do that, people ain't gonna really want to fuck with you like that. So you'll like mess up your own business or whatever just because you are like, oh, I don't have to hide my racism now. I can just show it and be an asshole. But it's like, you can do that. But in the times we're living in now, that's just only gonna backfire on you in one way or another. So I give people enough rope to hang themselves. I'm not joining in on your stupidity. I'm just gonna let you hang yourself. Like, it is what it is. No pun intended when I say that. But, right. You know... You know what I mean? Like, go ahead. Like, you know. Yeah. But I do think as far as DEI and like the hiring people or not hiring people, I don't think that's going to make that much of a difference only because people have always only hired who they wanted to hire. There's no real criteria for like, because I always say if you don't want to hire someone because they have dreadlocks or because they're Black, you're not going to say, oh no, I'm not hiring you because you're Black. You're just going to say, something along the lines of you're not qualified or there was someone more qualified.
Yeah. You decided to go in a different direction.
Yeah. So people are going to, if Black people were working at Target before DEI, they're going to hire Black people at Target if they want to because they were already doing that before. I never believed that these companies had to reach a certain quota. Like they probably did it for kickbacks or something. I don't know. But I was going to
say, I think it was a financial kickback. It wasn't like you have to do this. It was never mandatory.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm not worried about that.
Which I think that makes sense because I don't care how they, you know, get in there, but we have to have proper representation of our country in the federal workforce. I don't think that should, you know.
That just makes sense.
If they're trying to, quote unquote, make America great again, and they actually think that this generation of minorities, some white people, Black people, whoever, are going to just sit around and like let us go back to the times where that's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
And the more rich you are, the more powerful you are or whatever, the more LMs are going to come out of the woodworks. Because when you put someone's back against the corner, I mean, you know, up against the wall or whatever, in this day and age, people are just going to feel like they have nothing to lose. And when you are somebody with nothing to lose, you are the most dangerous person on the planet. So if you're taking away people's jobs and people's resources, the people responsible will naturally pay the consequence for that in one way or another. And that's the unfortunate part. So nobody is safe. Nobody is going to be unaffected by this Trump administration. No, I don't care how safe you feel like you are or you're privileged or whatever. It's not. No, we don't live in those times anymore. Like, those days are over. People are willing to, you know, go out with a bang, if you will, if it means that they can't survive and they can't pay their bills. So things are going to get worse for everybody. And that's the part that I really wish people understood. Like, just taking a trip to Target or Walmart could be like, you know what I mean? Like, could be very dangerous for us, for everybody, really. And that's why I'm glad we're not protesting. Because, you know, I hate that they voted for this because this is going to be rough for everybody.
Yeah.
It makes me want to just stay in the house. Like I don't even want to go nowhere. Like
it's the right instinct to stay home and not protest if you're Black, because that is what always unleashes violence in this country. So we're not.
I don't even know how we got on
anymore.
that. I don't know how we got on that subject.
Well, I wanted to say we do have to wrap up the tea segment a little bit early so that we're not, because we went way over with pub for good reason.
Okay.
But Gwen, I would love to hear your 2 cents on that if you have anything to add. And my 2 cents on that is that this applies across the board. So think of everything that they've changed recently or introduced is going to largely affect white women and white men. So them slashing social security budgets, them slashing all of these things, it is going to primarily affect poor white people first and foremost. It is going to affect other minorities, though, a lot more severely when it does happen. So that's just the balance of it in that way. But all of this applies across the board. And the fact that a lot of white people don't realize that the largest numbers affected are going to be them.
Mm-hmm.
And even though, other like disabled people of color, they're going to be affected at a lower rate, it's going to mean a lot more oftentimes, life or death. And that's the unfortunate part.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have 2 cents to add other than like I study economics as part of what I do for my degree, and everything Sovereign said and everything you said, Lisa, is just absolutely correct. Like no notes. Like that is what is happening now and what is going to pass. And unfortunately, what will have to happen in order for more people to just wake up out of this slumber of thinking that none of this will apply to you. That's just, man, I wish it didn't have to be this way. I really wish.
and
that this had gone in any other direction.
Yeah. I would say too, because a lot of people are going to say, well, this is why we want the rich running the country, because they're not going to bankrupt the country, and I assure you they will.
That's exactly
what they're gonna,
that's their plan. That's the goal.
Because you know what they're going to do is they're not going to live here, baby. You will. You're going to live here.
Absolutely. That's their plan. They want all the money they can get
and tax havens.
Which one of them was it? Elon Musk or was it Zuckerberg? One of them said they're on their way to try to be a trillionaire. Which one was it again?
Musk.
Was it Musk? Yeah.
Musk.
So $1 million is not enough. Several $1 billion is not enough. I'm trying to be a trillionaire comment is diabolical.
$1 trillion is a lot of money.
Yes.
You cannot
please
even
no,
that in
you
this
can't
lifetime
even. That's what I'm
or the
saying.
next.
So the only way for them to do that is to bankrupt this country. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. Like that's the only way to reach that goal. So I don't know anybody. I keep saying this because I really want to like hone it home to people. Anybody who makes under $400K should not have voted for Trump. Like you are going to
You're
be
going to
affected.
regret it.
Like I don't know what people are thinking. You are poor. Donald Trump don't like poor people, and he doesn't like immigrants. Obviously, he's been saying that for a long time. I don't think he cares for black people at all. And he thinks that the people who voted for him are stupid or uneducated was the word that he used. I love the uneducated. Well, that's what it seems like at this point. I mean, look at what's going to happen to this country. Only uneducated people would vote this in. So at the end of the day, he doesn't even respect his followers. And Elon Musk basically paid him for the White House, and he's ready to get rid of him. At least that's what it seems like. He's tired of Musk.
That spot still wasn't enough. Like he had to go to our treasury and take all of our data.
That's what that's what I'm saying. That man you're right, Lisa. They don't plan on living here. I promise you.
Oh yeah.
They're not. You think they're finna live in the aftermath of the destruction they're finna cause? No, they're not. They would be dumb to. Like, I'm not trying to be funny. If you really think about it, like you would be stupid to do that. So,
or they'll have extremely high security communities that, when they have to live here, that's where they'll stay.
Yep. That's exactly
But most of the time they're going to spend out of the country.
They're trying to go to Mars.
Yeah.
They're trying to go tear up Mars and destroy Mars.
I hope they do.
Maybe they might fly out there and never be able to.
I hope they do go to Mars.
Yeah, and the rocket comes back and leave them
alone. There. Yeah.
The rocket just came back to Earth and no one was in it. Oh my God.
Oh, thank God. Yeah.
So are we going to send it back? No. We're not going to send it.
Not enough gas. There was a gas leak.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was disabled. All right. Well, on that note, let's wrap this up and go talk to the public offender.
Yay. I can't wait.
Welcome back, y'all. We have our very special guest in the studio today. We have the public offender with us. Woo! Welcome, Pub. We're so excited to have you. Will you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, please?
Yeah, I am the public offender on TikTok and the public offender 100 on YouTube. I basically make like anti-misogynistic content, deconstructing the patriarchy from a male's perspective. I think it's needed. So I was like, hey, let's start talking about this. So it's pretty much what I do.
It's definitely needed and appreciated. Thank you.
And my favorite part about it is that you spend a lot of your time talking directly to men, which is why we appreciate your work, especially from that angle, because a lot of men will, love to put the feminist hat on and then they only speak to women or they end up speaking for women.
Yes.
And it's very frustrating as women. So, that's why if anyone in our audience is wondering, like, this is exactly why we feel comfortable and we would love to share the public offender with y'all because we really do love his work and appreciate what he's doing because he's doing it right.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's pretty much what I do. As far as like the approach is, as a man, I think it's weird to like talk to women. I mean, you could talk to women, whatever, like I don't, like we're talking, you guys are women, like I don't mind, like that's fine. But I'm saying like in a public forum and talking about these things, I think it's odd to be like holding court and the court is like the women and you're like, hey, women, this is how you avoid a bum ass man. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's kind of weird. So,
yeah. Or what women need to be doing and what y'all should not be doing.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And they're not even saying anything new. It's been the same shit that they've been saying to us for the last like couple hundred years, which is like, stay inside, don't go out when the sun goes down. Nothing good happens past midnight. Don't wear short skirts.
Exactly.
Or crop tops.
Right. It's like women already know the only people that really need, the speaking to is men. And unfortunately, they oftentimes don't like to listen to women. So I guess like leading into this discussion, if you don't mind a little Q&A, like how have you found that men respond to, a man speaking about these things so candidly and so directly as you do?
They don't like it at all. But so yeah, they don't.
Surprise.
Surprise. You guys are going to be shocked by that.
Right.
They hate it. I mean, I think they hate it more than hearing it from a woman because they expect it from a woman. But hearing a man say it, they're like, "E too, Bruce?" Like, and I'm like, "Yeah, bro. Like, you guys are crazy. This is nuts." So, the reaction that I get typically is it's very visceral. Like, "No, you're crazy." That, it's a lot of that. And then sometimes the men stick around and they listen and they start going, "Hey, wait, that makes sense." And then they start to get it. But most of the time they just run for cover. That's pretty much the reaction that I get. Also, I am 100% attached to this idea that you cannot appeal to men in these spaces without lying to them. There's no, like...
That's so true.
I've thought about it for like a long time. A lot of men, the way they try to tone police women, they try to tone police me, right? They'll do the whole like, it's not what you're saying, it's how you're saying. It's whatever. It's always something. And I'll go, okay. And me being the person that I am, I try to take that into consideration because like I want to appeal to as many men as possible, right? So I'm like, am I too harsh? Is it the delivery? Whatever, right? So I started thinking about it and basically I came to the conclusion after thinking about it for like days, like upon days, I was like, no, the only way for me to appeal to men like writ large is to lie to them. If you look at any male content creator that is like remotely in this lane, in this space, if you look at their following, if you look at their audience, it's going to be 80% female. No doubt about it, right? And I've said this a million times, but like I didn't choose my audience. I can only choose my content, right? I you know what I mean? Like I'm saying, if you want to be true to what you're doing, I can only be true to what I'm doing. And then whoever follows me and subscribes and likes whatever, cool, it is what it is. I don't care. I love the support. We're here. But I know, like now, I know that I would be lucky. Like I'm fighting to get to like 20% male support, male view. You don't even have to be support. I don't even care, right? Like you can come hate watch
views.
Me. Just views. You know what I'm saying? Like I really want more men to participate and watch and come in for the discussion because that's ultimately what I want to do. But, they run and hide.
They don't want to hear it, huh?
They don't want to hear it. They don't want to see the mirror get put up to their faces. So,
why do you think that is?
Oh, I know why.
Go ahead. Tell us why. Speak for me.
No, I want to hear from you. I definitely want to hear from you. I'm just gonna say, I think what it is they basically look at you as breaking bro code. Like you are telling all the secrets, you are exposing them. If too many women believe in you, if too many women follow you, if too many women gravitate towards the message, that's bad news for them.
Yep. That's definitely a part of it. I think, to YV's point, I think that the reason that they react that way, though, is because men are conditioned to protect the patriarchy. And the same way racism conditions white people to protect the institution that is race, right? And racism. Or should I say white people? But yeah. Sorry. Sorry, yeah.
We can speak
we
for
do
you
it too.
too.
It sounds funny saying it.
I know.
Yeah.
I hate it. But yeah, so that is really what it is. It's men are whether they accept it or know it or whatever the case may be, it is this idea that I must defend the patriarchy. I must defend the thing that makes me who I am or gives me my purpose, right? Like men talk about purpose all the time, but the only purpose that men have right now as a group, and I'm not saying like what you choose, I'm saying what the system has designated to be your purpose. Your sole purpose is to defend, well, two purposes, to defend the patriarchy and to uphold capitalism, right? Which go hand in hand. So that's really why they don't like to hear the things that I'm saying, because I'm challenging both of those ideals simultaneously.
Yep.
I'm like, both of those ideals have no place in humanity, right? Like none of them work for humanity. And they're like, what?
And the way they be hating on you though, because I always tell you like they just some haters, but they be too busy pocket watching and all of that. And no, seriously, instead of listening to, because you always have great content, you always give a very good perspective on any video you put out. The information is wonderful. The information is there. They want to focus on everything, how many women followers you have and whatever else, than to look at themselves in the mirror, basically. Yeah. That's the crazy thing.
You guys are their target though, right? I'm in the way.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm in the way. They want to get to Sovereign, they want to get to White, they want to get to Gwen, they want to get to you guys. I'm not the target. I'm just, you know what I mean? Like I'm fodder. I'm you know what I mean? I'm there, I'm a casualty, but I'm definitely not the target for them. Their target is women. They want access to women. And like you said earlier, any man that they feel like is stifling that or hindering that in some way, they don't want to hear it. Like they're like, get out of here. I've had my life threatened several times.
By guys on your
By me? Oh yeah, absolutely. I've had my life threatened, like straight up and down.
It's par for the course.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm shocked. I think for women, we're used to being threatened as women. You know what I mean? I don't know if I've ever heard of.
It's just interesting they resort to the same tactics.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Yeah. And I think that is what has kind of like expedited my unpacking journey is that I quickly can see like exactly what women are saying about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause I'm on the other side of it and I'm the ire of their, of their vitriol. Right. So, like I'll be honest. I told my wife this a year ago. I have developed a lot of contempt for men. In my dealings with men from this perspective. Like I find myself not liking men as a group, not individually. And maybe it's maleness or, whatever you want to say. I don't know. But it's like, I do find myself being like, ugh, a lot of times when I'm talking to men and I'm like, yeah. And I've never slept with any of these guys. So I couldn't imagine what, you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
It's just like that social construct, but it's so boring. Like, it's the same thing every time. Like I've tried to see their side of it. I've tried looking at the red pill content. I've tried looking at the incel content. I'm like, maybe they have a point. Maybe they're really being treated really badly, and it's not, it's just the same. It's the same thing over and over and over.
Trying to hit it with the Socratic method, but it just doesn't work because that requires brain cells.
No,
Exactly.
They are treated badly though.
I guess.
Ooh, can you expand on that?
Yeah, they're treated badly by themselves and by other men.
Oh,
that's who's treating them bad. Like women aren't treating them badly, right?
No,
it's men that are the ones shitting on them. It's men that tell them that they have to conform and fit in this box. And if they leak out even a little bit, they're not a man anymore. And they're going to get ousted from the group and excommunicated. That's the man doing that. Women are like, I mean, you would be cool if you was just like normal. If we just, you know what I mean? Like if you were, like, I'll fuck with you. You know?
I think of them kind of like an 80s movie where, you know, you had like the jocks and the nerds, and like from a point of view of like the incels and whatever, I could kind of see their point of view of being treated badly by like the jocks as like nerds. Like when they complain about, you know, the poor treatment of society, they're hardly ever talking about women. I feel like they are talking about more of like these like what they call ultra chads and the jocks that have like the defined jawline and all that shit.
Yeah, but I was just gonna say.
Yeah, I've been called a Chad before, an ultra Chad. And I was like,
I was gonna say, I bet
I've been on a few lives where I've heard that.
Yeah, because I bet that makes them mad too, because they often think that men that are on the side of feminism or whatever, they're on the side of feminism because it helps to make up a certain type of difference, like a certain type of lack, right? Like, oh, you're not handsome, so you're gonna simp, like you're gonna appeal to these women by simping for them or whatever. And when they're like, wait, why is this guy doing this? Like, there's no reason.
Absolutely.
Like, there's no reason.
Right.
And they just get mad.
I've tried to appeal to men with this. Don't get me wrong. I've tried to, right? I'll tell men that, like, hey, you think you're being slighted by all these women, right? And they go, yes. And I go, okay, do you know a way where you can kind of like alleviate that? And they go, how? And I go, you can like treat them like human beings, right? And if you respect them, then they'll respect you, which we know that that's pretty much the crux of feminism boiled down in like its simplest form. It's like just, hey, man, just treat everybody with respect, blah, blah, blah. So I've tried to appeal to them even on that like basic level. And in the moment, they'll kind of be open to it. But you know, the patriarchy is too strong. The ideology, the propaganda is too powerful. So it overtakes that fairly quickly. And then it just pushes it right out the other ear, and they're just like right back to being a robot. Yeah. So it's
the exact same thing with pick me women with the internalized misogyny. It's the exact same thing.
What do you guys encounter with that? How do you approach that? How do you approach pick me women?
You know what? I don't.
Yeah, it's a canon event.
We just talk about them and use them as cautionary tales, and we just keep it pushing. Yeah,
because you avoid them.
Yeah, you know the thing that I realized, especially like just doing this in like the last year and a half or so, is that they're gonna have to come to their own realization if they're going to on their own. It's just one of those things where
it's a canon event.
Yeah, yeah, you can't
written in the stars.
Talk anything into them, and like the women who follow us, who would refer to themselves as reformed pick-me's, whatever, they were already open-minded, or at some point they've already seen the error of their ways, and so they're a lot more receptive. But trying to go at a full-fledged pick-me is a total waste of time. So we don't even bother.
And I was thinking about why, and I don't know, I'm just going to say it real quick and y'all can tell me what you think. But I think it's because it is genuinely hard to believe, like especially as a young woman, that there's really truly nothing you can do to make men see you as an equal. Like I think pick-meism is that last ditch effort, you know, of like, well, maybe if I do everything right, maybe then there's a chance.
He'll like me.
I completely,
they'll pick
1000%.
So it is, it's like, it's still pick-meism, but just like why? And I was thinking about that, and I was like,
I think is that a subconscious? That's a subconscious thing, you think?
Yes.
They subconsciously know that men don't see them as human, so it's
but we also all subconsciously view men as on a pedestal, so we want that approval. And so until you actually actively like see men for what they are and you decenter the male gaze, as all of us in this chat, in this room, you know, have done, because once you really look deeply at men and everything that they sort of present to society, you're like, this is what we're all fighting. Yeah, this is it. Like, this is what we're all like fighting for the approval of. And yeah, it's just interesting. And I wanted to lead this into one of the most common questions that we get asked, and something I was hoping we'd get to hit on with you, Pub, is that like, how do we communicate this to young boys? Like, how do we teach young boys to decenter men and the male gaze?
Or like, how would you raise a son in a world or culture that thrives on just porn and misogyny?
I'm doing it now, so
God bless you.
Yeah, it's tough. I know. The first thing I think, like with my son is, well, my youngest son, I guess. My oldest, I have two sons. My oldest son he has autism, so he don't misogyny and whatever. He don't care. He don't like nobody. He man or woman. He, you know what I mean? He don't care. But he don't like nobody and he love everybody at the same time. You know what I mean? That's his brand of autism. But so my youngest son, he the way that me personally, like as the man in his life or whatever, the way that I approach it is I kind of take the same approach that I take online with the men, right? Or with my platform, I would say. So pretty much what I do is I debunk red pill talking points, like almost in real time, right? Because, they get like little upgrades every week and you're like, oh, that's a new thing that they're saying now and you tackle it or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Deconstruct it. I do that. That's definitely a part of it. It's the real time addressing the issues. Really, it's just about like teaching him about himself and making him like a human, right? For lack of a better term, is really like, and I use that a lot. I use the word human a lot because ultimately that's what we're all trying to do.
That's
right?
a perfect term. Yeah.
We're all trying to be as human as possible. And so I'm basically just trying to do that with my son. I'm just trying to make him a decent person by instilling characteristics in him, like being consistent, being honest, being present, wanting to learn, having a curiosity for learning, listening. I wrote a children's book on consent, so we talk about consent all the time. I teach him about his anatomy, how his body is his own. That way he understands that everybody's body is their own, right? So I'm teaching him that his body is his own, and he, I don't say that's your PPTT. I'm like, that's your penis. Those are your, you know what I mean? Those are your testicles. Those are your, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm very, specific in me and my wife and I. And just like watching the type of content that he consumes and talking to him a lot. And the most important thing, and not the most important thing, but one of the most important things is modeling it, right? Myself. So I don't do a lot of stuff for two reasons. A, because it's not good to do, but B, I don't want my son to be looking at me and being like, so it's okay to like flirt with girls, and he may not say it, but he'll see you doing it.
But he'll see it, yeah.
So. Yeah.
I remember in one of your lives, maybe about a month or two ago, you gave an example of one day y'all were at the house or something and you heard him saying something like, ew, that's for girls.
Yes.
And you addressed it right then and there.
Yep.
I can't remember exactly what you said, but when you were addressing it in real time, is that what you're suggesting to, like mothers who are raising sons, like to address it right then and there when they say something like you challenge why they think this is for girls or why,
Yeah, you have to. Like, you have to do it. It's always about getting to the root, right? Because I've never said that before, right? So that's what tripped me out. Like, that's the thing people don't understand about misogyny. That's the thing men don't understand about misogyny specifically. They don't know how insidious it is. They don't know how it's in every freaking thing. How even a 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old, which my son is, how even in his home, because people always talk about like, that's why you need a man, that's why you need a mom. That's fine, trust me, right? We do what we can do, but he is still exposed to the elements, for lack of a better term, right? So when he says stuff like that and you don't know where it comes from, you have to wonder. I have to poke and prod, right? Well, why do you think that? And it's just by me, and thank goodness my son is intelligent enough to have these conversations. But as soon as I asked him that, he instantly was like, wait, he did the math in his head like that quick. Like the conversation was 5 seconds. He was like, well, no, that doesn't make any sense because like girls can do anything boys can do. So how is it for, you know what I mean? It was just like that. And I was like, right. Like I let him work through it himself. And I was like, I agree. He was like, okay, guess what? Never heard it again.
That's awesome.
That
That is
is
so
very
awesome.
I
smart.
love that you use questions because a lot of people make the mistake of telling their kids. And that's just not enough. You have to teach them to be critical thinkers. And the way you do that is by asking them questions. So I love that.
I love it too.
Okay, so we do have some audience questions then to get to. I have a question about the similarities and differences that you may or may not have observed between the attacks on female independence by the content creators who are white men compared to black men. If you believe they're different, how so? And she's wondering whether it could be related to cultural differences or whether it might be because black women have a longer history of being independent. of Black men, whether by choice or circumstance, like higher rates of incarceration. Are there any tricks that you see either groups of men using to pit Black women and white women against each other instead of banding together? We can take them one at a time if you want.
Okay. Yeah. So the first part is like, what have I observed in like the differences between how Black men and white men attack, like female content creators or people in that circle, in that space. I think the best example I could think of off the top of my head would be passport bros, the passport bro argument, right? Passport bros have been a thing in America for a long time, right? And at least since, I want to say Nam, but more before that, the Korean War, even World War II, they were bringing back women from Eastern Europe. But whatever. So the way that white men talk about passport bros is like, they don't ever talk about white women specifically. They just talk about women, right? It's just about women in general. And the cultural difference there would be because white men have access to all women. They don't, you know what I mean? They're not limited in who they have access to, and they are at the top of the hierarchy, right? Whereas Black men, when they talk about passport bros, they're specifically trying to target Black women. They are specifically trying to get a negative, you know what I mean? Like they want to agitate Black women specifically. They're not. I've never heard a Black man talk about being a passport bro with a white woman.
Me either.
I've never heard that before. It's always in reaction to Black women talking about, like, if you're in a space where Black women are talking about being educated or having a job, whatever it is, just regular everyday stuff that everybody does. Like, a Black man will come in and say, like, see, that's why we're leaving the country. That's why we're going overseas and da-da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's always in a response to Black women progressing in any way, shape, or form, right?
Yep.
They weaponize it in that way. White men have just been doing it.
Facts.
Black men aren't even doing it, but they're weaponizing the idea of it as a way to control Black women. Like that was one of the weirdest things that I actually observed because I didn't, I heard passport. My uncle was a passport bro, bless his soul, right? He married my aunt. She was Vietnamese because he went to Nam. And he brought back a Vietnamese wife, and he married her, and he brought back her sister, and then she lived there for 50 years, right? So I saw it firsthand, and I didn't think anything. I didn't think it was a passport. I didn't think nothing of it. And then when I heard how they discussed it, I was like, oh, this is crazy. I was like, these people are sick, because the way that the patriarchy functions for Black men, we don't really have the whole system behind us, right? Because the patriarchy isn't just. It's not isolated. It's you know what I mean? It's a part.
It overlaps with white supremacy,
a lot of other systems.
and capitalism.
And capitalism and all that other stuff, right? Okay. American chauvinism, whatever, right?
Yes.
Black men only have a limited amount of power that we can, kind of absorb or use or weaponize against any group of people, mainly Black women. So that's why when we have these conversations, usually, to me, they're very like reductive. You know what I mean? Like they don't land the same. They don't have the same effect. There's no bite behind them. You know what I mean? So that would be one of the main differences I see in the conversation. Also talking about marriage.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like talking about marriage is...
That's who they withhold it from.
It's crazy because Black men don't want to be married. Black men don't want to be married as a group. White men are more like culturally... Every other, I don't even know about Latinos, but definitely I'll speak for white men and Black men and Asian men. They are way more conditioned and socialized to seek marriage. Black men we could be married if we wanted to. We don't seek marriage, right?
Nope.
Like I talked about this many times. None of my friends growing up, I never had a conversation about marriage with any of my friends growing up. I didn't start talking about marriage until my friend got married. That was like our first conversation about marriage. I never talked to my cousin, was like, yeah, man, I'm really thinking about marriage. I didn't tell him I was going to get engaged. Like none of that type of stuff. We never had a conversation like that. And I got married when I was 29 and I got engaged when I was 27. So we were engaged for 2 years. So when Black men talk about marriage, once again, they weaponize the concept of marriage against Black women and they dangle it like a carrot in front of a horse. Right? It's like, see, that's why y'all not getting married. See? That's why you can't, you want a husband? You just got to submit. It's like that. Whereas white men, they actually get married. They actually get married. You know what I'm saying? Like the majority of white men will be married in their lifetime. Right? Like even 2025, like I think like 60% of white men get married or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
More than once too.
Yeah, more than once.
more than
right?
once.
So when having that like talking about marriage is also another thing that I saw where I was like, how weird are you? Like, you guys must really think that that women are really dumb because
the threats are so empty.
they're so empty. I'm like, you guys you're not doing anything. You're not you don't want to be married. You can't, and I'm in on this. The least traveled group of people in America are black men specifically. Black women travel more than black men. White people travel more than black men. Asian people, Latino. Everybody else travels except for black men. So anytime a black man talks about, I'm going to leave the country to get another woman, you're not. You're not. You haven't even gone to Canada. You haven't even gone to Mexico. You're not going anywhere. You're not going to go get anybody. Stop lying. At best, you're going to get a flight, you're going to go down to DR, and you're going to pay for some sex from a sex worker. That's what you're threatening to do. But you can do that here. You know what I'm saying?
Literally.
You can do that here. I don't know why you got to leave to do that.
I don't know why they have to leave at all to find a submissive wife. Like, you could go to the nearest church and find at least 10 of them, 10 picky women who would massage your feet and cook you the steak dinner. And I've seen this one video on TikTok of this lady, like, she got down on all fours and let her husband eat a plate off her back. Like, it was very strange behavior. I don't know.
I don't shame kinks. That's got to be a kink. There's no way that she did that. Just
I do kink shame. I don't care. That's weird.
There's no way that woman just signed up to do that. Like, that's crazy. So those would be my two best examples of that. And what was the
let me give you the other one. So are there any tricks that you see either group of men using to pit black women and white women against each other instead of banding together?
Oh, yeah. The best example of this would be one Dr. Umar. Dr. Umar with the whole black queens forever, snow bunnies never, and all that stuff, right? Dr. Umar himself, he has been on several podcasts saying stuff like white women. Well, he won't say white women because this is a part of his grift, right? A part of his grift is he tries to appeal to black women by demeaning white women. That's a part of it. So he calls them snow. He doesn't refer to them as women, which is dehumanizing in and of itself. So I don't know why any woman, black or white, would ever, you know what I'm saying, appreciate that or respect that, right? Because he's literally just dehumanizing women at the end of the day. He's calling them snow bunnies. He won't even refer to them as women. He might as well be calling them females, right? He might as well be calling them dogs. So he calls them snow bunnies as a way to appeal to black women and black people. And it's all funny. We get a good laugh laughing at white women. But then on the flip side, he'll say something like, black women, y'all got to lower y'all standards. If that man cheats on you, you got to ask, why did he cheat on you?
Oh, my God.
Was it out of love or was it out of lust? This is what he said. I'm paraphrasing. He said he would tell his own daughter to stay with her husband or whatever. If he cheated, he would ask her these questions, right? So this type of stuff he says to the women. This is how he pits black and white women against each other. He says, black women, you got to lower your standards because these white women, these snow bunnies, they will take your black man wherever he's at as is, and they will build him up. They will invest in his dream, and they will build him up, and they will help him become a great man. But you black women, you black queens, you aren't willing to stay with these, to build with the black men, which is hilarious to me.
Literally.
Like one of the craziest things I could ever think of is saying that black women don't it's crazy. Yeah. That just doesn't make sense on its face to say that black women don't, stay with black men. Like, black women are extremely more educated than black men, right? But yet, black men and black women are still together. Mm-hmm. And I know them black men ain't building up them black women that got all these degrees and these advanced degrees. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is he doing?
Except if anything, they're tearing us down.
Slowing her down, right? So, so it's crazy. So that, to me, that's one of the major ways that I see how they pit black women versus white women. It's black women, you need to settle. And because these white women are going to come in and scoop up the Michael B. Jordans and the and the Jonathan Majors of the world or whatever.
Oh, God forbid. Yeah.
God forbid, because they're willing to stick it out with the black men.
When those women get with black men, typically they're rappers or athletes or whatever, and then of course they're going to cheat, and then next thing you know, the quote unquote snow bunnies are taking them to the cleaners in a divorce.
I don't believe that.
Really?
No, I don't believe. No, I'm saying because you said typically. That's the only part I disagree. I think typically it's the fetishization of both parties, right? Most of the time they get together on some like animal attraction type shit. You know what I'm saying? They hook up. They have babies. They have their Jadens and their Jalens, and then he acts the way that most men do. right?
Yeah.
And he cheats or he ignores or he abuses, which are all the same things, but whatever. And then she leaves him, and now she's stuck with 2 biracial babies who she don't know how to braid their hair and go and know where to get their haircuts. Like that's typically what happens. That's the typical thing that I see.
Oh yeah, when I said typically, okay, no, I meant like if they get with black men who actually have like fame or money or whatever.
Money, oh yeah, absolutely.
Then their goal is to take you to the cleaners.
See, that's what I'm saying though. I don't believe that. I don't believe their goal is to take them to the cleaners. Because
those women find out where these athletes are or where the rappers hang out at for the sole purposes of being picked. I promise you.
I ain't arguing with you because I think all the women
they
who do
hang
that
out
are
in the
doing
hotels
that.
and
yeah. But you can say that about any.
No, they are all races.
They all do that. Yeah.
But I'm just saying they typically go for the non-black women, the rappers, the athletes.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about as far as the ones with some money, and that's their preference, as they like to call it, and their preference always ends up, getting
lighter
more
or whiter, but I'm saying that this is what I say because this is that whole like gold digger trope, right? I don't believe in the concept of gold digging, right? I don't think it's a real thing. The reason why I say that is because, and here's a major difference from what I have observed about men and women is, and I say this a lot, like the worst woman is still better than the best man, right? So even if a woman gets with a man for his resources, let's say they love the resource talk. Like, she got with me, I'm giving my resources. Fine, right? Cool. I give her that. I give you that, right? Fine. But that woman still don't cheat. That woman still don't abuse. That woman still don't neglect. She does her job, but she knows that he's not going to do his. But that doesn't make her the bad guy in that situation, because if he doesn't mess up, if he does treat her right and he does respect her,
it's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
Exactly.
She ain't tripping. She's not tripping. So you can't even blame a gold digger in that situation if the man is the one who ends up abusing and using or whatever the case may be.
I agree.
Because she still sacrifices her body to have babies. She still sleeps with that man. She still does all the emotional labor. She still does all her stuff like a normal woman, right? The only difference is, at best, you can judge her for her intentions, for her motivations. You can judge her on that, but her actions you can't. Her actions are exactly the same as every other woman.
But the motivations come from the patriarchy, though. Like if you think about it, women only feel that way about we have the most to lose. We take the most risks. So patriarchy set it up that way. So like you were saying earlier about the guys suffering under patriarchy, they uphold it, but it's hurting them as much as it's hurting us.
I was going to say, even if we take it to its logical conclusion, it's like, okay, so men already know this, men already acknowledge this. And so it should be on the men to vet for gold diggers. Like they always tell women to choose better. Like, why didn't you choose better? I thought y'all were all logical, non-emotional. You should have been able to spot every red flag with your logic.
Absolutely.
Unless you let your emotions get in the way.
Absolutely.
That was a great Uno reverse card that Lisa pulled.
I love those. Those are my favorite.
The Uno reverse be reversing. The problem is though with that logic is so flawed because the men with gold don't care about gold diggers.
They
seek the gold diggers out. They want them. They can get a nice homebody woman. You know what I'm saying? They, like Gwen said, they go to the church. They go to Church's Chicken. They go there's a bunch of places for them to go find those women because those women are everywhere, right? But they don't want those women. They want.
that was going to be my question. I'm so glad you said that. So from a man's point of view, because we all have our ideas as to why. From a man's perspective, why do you think these men don't want, I guess, the pygmy women?
One of the main reasons is because men get off on controlling and dominating women.
Yeah.
And not to say they won't sleep with them, right?
Right.
But even Tupac said, I don't want it if it's that easy.
Facts.
But why not?
Right.
You don't want to cherish it if it's that easy. I get that. I understood that.
No. I disagree with that. You don't want a person that wants you.
No, I think what Tupac was saying was, if it's that easy, then it's going to be that easy for every other guy who tries.
That's projection. That's the assumption. That you're not.
I agree. It's an assumption, but I mean, how likely is that to be the case? So I'm just saying, sometimes that is the case. I when I first heard that song, I was a child and I understood exactly where he was coming from when he said that.
I'm BBD though. See, I thought it was me. You dig what I'm saying? Like, so if a woman likes me, whenever a woman liked me,
Yeah, I get it.
always assumed she liked me. I didn't think, oh, she liked everybody.
All these other guys.
Yeah, I was like, she likes me. Like, why wouldn't I think that
I know
about
what
myself?
I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why is your go-to always like, she must like every guy? Like, how low do you think of yourself to think that she likes everybody?
So is that something that men shouldn't do, is want a challenge then, basically? Because that's really just boiling down to, if it's that easy, no, challenge me, make me feel like I'm working for something. If you just give it to me on the first night, then I'm going to just assume that you're doing this all the time. Because there are guys that they like a challenge, right? Some guys.
That's what I'm saying. The challenge is, I would respect that idea. They went about the challenge of, wooing her or whatever by being honest and
nice
forthright.
guy. Yeah.
Right? But that's not it. The challenge is manipulating her.
I agree.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't think that men actually like a real challenge. What they want to do is they want to manipulate as many women as they can to get it. It reinforces this idea that they are the man, right?
Yeah.
They get like tokens.
Yeah.
As
they get these
go along
cookies.
They get cookies while they're, if it was a video game, we would make it in the shape of cookies, and men are collecting all these cookies to help them become the worst version of a man or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I think that's what it is for the most part. I think that's why men, to answer your question, I think that's why men don't want that, is because it's like, why do I want a woman that wants me? I honestly think that men think like this: if a woman wants me for me, something is wrong with her because I ain't shit.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just projection, because also, like, okay, what's the worst case scenario? Like, even if a woman does just enjoy, sex or casual sex or whatever, and you don't, you can just say like, oh no, that's okay. Like, I'm not into that. But a lot of men will take that to mean something about a woman that they don't take to mean about themselves, because when they go to defend why they love and have so much casual sex, it's like, well, it was there, somebody agreed to it, so I just did it. And it's like, well, you don't want women to think the same way though, do you?
No.
You don't want women to be able to come up to you and just say like, hey, like, let's go.
But everything men, I won't say everything, like 89% of what men do is projection though. Like,
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like everything we say is like, I'm rubber, you're glue. It's a weird, like I be listening to men all the time talk about things that women do. And I'm halfway through I'm sitting there going, wait, that's what men do.
That's what you do, yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, I've done that before. What? I've never seen a woman do that in my life. They'll be like, like walking out on the kids and going to this grocery store and buying milk and never coming back home. And I'm like,
that's
a trope about men for a
Fact.
reason, bro. Like, what are you talking about? You're nuts. Like, stop lying. You guys are crazy.
God.
That is funny.
I actually kind of had a question of my own. When women say not all men, and they do mean like, oh, not all men, like they're being genuinely kind of earnest about it, why then do men still find a way to make it about them?
Facts. Because they always do.
They do. So my best guess, this one is going to be harder. I honestly think when men do that, no matter what, the goal for men is to get women to let their guard down. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, like that's in these exchanges, it just feels like that's the main motive, right? It's like, hey, how can I get her to let her guard down and accept me? I did a live yesterday, and it was a like conservative white man up there, and he was trying really hard to get me to like him. And he kept saying like, I think you're cool. Can we just agree to disagree and still be friends? I was like, absolutely not. You know what I mean? I was like, no, we could disagree on like, do you like freaking MacBooks or Chrome? Like, I'm not about to like argue with you about freaking like my humanity. Are you nuts? That's crazy, right? A lot of the men in these, when they have these conversations, that's how they're approaching it too. They're trying to just, hey, Gwen, I'm a nice guy. Come on, paisan. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's always like that. As opposed to it being like, I see what you're saying. It's you know what I mean? They're always listening to respond, I guess, in that way. But for me, that's why I never give them that out. I never say it's not all men. You know what I mean? I'm saying when I'm talking about something specifically, but when I'm like saying the statement, it's all men. Like, I stand 10 toes and I'm like, no, it's all men. And I'm looking at them in their eyes like, no, it's all men.
Yeah.
Like, you too. You especially. Just so you know, me too, whoever. It's all men. Don't, whatever. You know what I mean? And then that way they can't try to like wiggle out of it and be like, but I'm a nice guy. You're like, no, it doesn't matter.
I also like what you said one time, public, about like women's words being cutting to men. Like whenever men say that, it's because it just hits too close to home. And then they're like, your words are cutting. Like you
Like
you don't care about, you don't care about my feelings. And it's like, well,
Oh
yeah,
my
but
God.
why do you feel some type of way about it though? Like it's always an admission.
Men can't stand when women clock their T, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody knows that. Because generally speaking, women are the only people to challenge men. Because men don't challenge men because men are deathly afraid of men.
Yep.
Right?
Bars.
I agree.
So the only group of people that challenge men consistently are women like you. And it ain't even, and here's the thing, it ain't even most women that challenge men.
It sure ain't.
Right. No.
You know what I'm saying?
God,
it's like a
that's-
specific
yeah.
group of women challenging men in this way. And so that shit hurts. It does, depending on how big that ego is. You know what I'm saying? It's sensitive. So, that ego is like your nutsack's being exposed. It's you know, it's like having your nuts in your brain. Like it's like if your nuts were like in your brain and then the words like kicked, like that's what they're doing every single time to me. And men just like, like I can't take it. My stomach's hurting. And I'm like, yeah, bro, you just gotta deal with that. You know, like you have to, that's why it's important for men to be self-aware.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Being self-aware is, for me, has been one of the easiest ways for me to like let go of my ego.
So it separates the wheat from the chaff for real
Mhm.
among men. Like really. Otherwise you're useless. Like if you're not self-aware, you are literally useless to society.
I
And you
agree.
will keep voting for backwards things and thinking in backwards ways because you just want everything to be easy because you're not self-aware.
That's exactly what it is.
And now we all live in hell, so thank you. Like,
Thanks for that.
yeah.
What they say, thanks, Obama.
I was
Right.
watching a video of yours yesterday where you were saying that men are never vulnerable unless it benefits them. It was
Yeah.
a way that they can
Weasel out of
manipulate
something.
it. Yeah, weasel out of something. Yeah, I was watching. I can't remember what video that was.
Yeah.
I watched
I
like
said on one of
probably
those
5 of your videos yesterday.
That's crazy.
Back to
I
back
go
to
down
back.
the
Oh,
rabbit
yeah.
hole. Yeah.
Oh, me too, all the time. Like I get ready in the morning, like listening to.
And like once I start
Public's
one, I'm like,
videos.
your titles are always so catchy. I'm like,
I
wait,
know.
men don't like what? Like, you get me every time.
I gotta hear that. What don't they like?
Right.
They don't like
We need
you,
to make
man.
some of our titles some clickbaity stuff. We should pull a page out of that book.
Yes,
Hey, I'm
for
gonna
real.
cut to the chase. They don't like you. All right,
Yeah,
just so you know,
exactly.
they don't
Yeah.
like y'all for whatever
Yeah.
reason. That's
Oh, I already know why. I get a
the
kick
end
out
of
of
it.
it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's terrible.
We have another question, which I think you also have a unique perspective on. So someone says, this is a random one, but something that occurred with my ex and Elon Musk. How do we distinguish between actually neurodivergent and mental health or just being misogynistic? My ex would say he couldn't touch dishes because the sensory,
Oh my
things,
God.
or that he was anxious to do certain things. I finally realized he was just using excuses and not pulling his own weight. But what is your opinion on that? I want to save my younger self from buying those lies.
Get that man some gloves and tell his ass to bust themselves. Like, I don't know what the hell.
Right.
Nah, I think all men have like a mental illness, but that's me.
It's kind of built in. It is kind of
built in.
socialized into.
It's in the Y chromosome.
It is. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe, but I think it is very much socialized. Like, I don't
Yes.
even think it's so much that. I think it's like, because I know a lot of parents that, have socialized their young boys a certain way and it was going in a certain direction. And then when they go to public school, a lot of that goes out the window. So it's kind of
Yes.
like
Oh.
it's very societally influenced.
Ingrained. Yeah.
Peer
You're-
pressure
But I
and
wonder
stuff.
what part of that is biology because they're so easily prone, it seems like, to
Well,
fall for
There is
societal pressure. And I don't know if that makes sense what I'm saying.
That might be epigenetics though. That
I
might
was going to
be,
say, yeah. It's
10,000 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
being praised for mediocrity and being
Yeah.
allowed to reproduce. Like,
yeah. It may look now.
No
now
matter
it may,
what, yeah.
No matter what we do, we get a pat
Yeah.
on the back and a cookie.
Yeah.
So it may look like now it's like, oh, that's biological, but like, is it? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, is it really in our DNA?
you just
like, I
got to
don't.
fight back.
You
Yeah.
just got to fight back a little bit. Like, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Being an asshole has nothing to do with you being mentally ill.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I talk about my son. Perfect example. My son has autism, right?
Mm-hmm.
My son has extreme behaviors. But my son is also very loving. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's very like affectionate, very loving, very empathetic. You still see that coming through, even though he could like his communication is way low and he has tons of behaviors. He's aggressive and all that stuff. But like, because when he's not like that, he's the most sweet person that you ever can meet. So like, if my son is empathetic, if my son is a genuine person, if my son, like, who has extreme behaviors, then what is your excuse as a man? As a, you know what I'm saying? As a high functioning person in society, how can that be your excuse? If you don't like the texture of washing dishes, how would you wash dishes?
If you live by yourself.
If you live by yourself, how would you wash? Would you only have paper plates? Fine. Buy paper plates then, all the time.
And find a partner who's okay with that. Why are you like subjecting an innocent woman to that?
You have to find you 100%.
That's just weaponized incompetence.
That's all it is.
And also, if you acted this way towards your boss at work, like, oh, I don't like staring at my screen too long because it makes my eyes tired, and oh, it's giving me sensory overload.
Exactly.
You would be fired. So why then is it okay to do that to your wife or your girlfriend?
Exactly.
Like, how do you stop making them feel too comfortable to do that around them? Because I know, like, the reason they feel that they can get away with that is because, like, the wife or girlfriend in question makes them feel safe, or like they're too
they enable
too comfortable with them.
Yeah, you can leave.
So, like,
them.
how do you make them less?
Gotta leave them.
Yeah, I think you can leave them. And that's coming from a man. Like, my wife has been very patient with me, and I did, I didn't ever say stupid shit like that, but I did a bunch of stuff where she was patient with me and worked with me and all that stuff. But I was lucky. I would never, you know what I mean? Like, if you're asking which I say all the time, everybody knows, like, if you're asking me, my default is always leave or never sign up for it to begin with.
I agree.
Right? Because I don't really have any advice outside of that. I don't have any tips or tricks, because I feel like whatever advice I would give you is going to put you in harm's way. More than likely. Me telling you, oh, this is how you appeal to him. Okay, cool. You try to appeal to him, but more than likely, he's not going to listen.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Because
Like,
he doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to. That's the likelihood that he listens is really, really low. And even if he does listen, how long will he listen?
Exactly.
Yeah, he'll do it just long enough to put you off.
And then change
and then
back.
go right back. Yeah.
And then go right back. And then a new behavior will come up, and it'll be two behaviors you gotta, you know what I mean? It's like
Whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole. Or you know what I mean? Or it's like when you cut the head off the snake thingy and it grows a bunch of heads or whatever. So it's a lot of that going on. I can't, in good faith, ever tell women how to appeal to men. Like, I can't do it. I believe that 99% of the time I'm setting you up for failure.
I'm the
That's just
same
what
way.
I believe. So I have to err on the side of caution and say, you probably should just leave. Everybody talks about red flags. I try not to throw around that term too often, but that's a red flag. Like, if you clock a motherfucker like not wanting to do dishes and or what, whatever. They don't have to be for mental, whatever, right? If that man doesn't want to do, that's a red flag. Like, if you have to fight with him to do bare minimum stuff, like stuff that you.
I'm telling Shan and BPG. You said something was a red flag. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I got it's a red flag every now and again. Every now and again, we clock a real red flag. I think that's I
agree.
You know what I'm saying?
How are you gonna like raise kids with this man? Like, why would you reproduce with someone like that?
Did she say she had kids with him, or she didn't say?
I don't think so. I don't think.
Oh no, it's an ex. It's an ex. She just said, I know for a fact that it wasn't because he was autistic, because he does those things now in a different relationship.
He was just trying to get over on her.
Right. So then, like, why? I guess that kind of begs the question for real. Like,
he just didn't like her that much.
You know what I just thought about right now when you guys just were saying that trend, if you guys been seeing it with the women and they're like, my emergency contact, and the men are like doing like the goofiest shit.
Yes, I know which one you're talking about.
You know what I mean? Like that's funny. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I got some knee slapping hardy hard out of it too. But like, also simultaneously, I'm like, do you see how goofy men are though? Like, you got kids, you got a wife, you got a family, and he doesn't know how to put a trash bag in the trash can.
Right.
You know, and it's just, stuff like that. These are conversations that I have to have and have had with myself for 10 years. My wife definitely put the mirror up to me, but also I had to see my own reflection. And I think that it's tough because men are vampires in this regard, because you can put the mirror up to a man, but if he doesn't have a reflection, you know what I'm saying? Like, how's he gonna see it? And men end up not looking at their own reflection. They don't want to see their reflection. So you can try all you want to as a woman on the other end. You can be, hey, you're letting me down. You're terrible. But if he's like, I don't see it.
That's a good way to put that.
And I think that's because men are just given endless narratives about their own behavior. Like, no matter what men do, it's like, well, could it have been actually because of video
there's always an
games?
excuse.
Or
Yeah.
actually, could it have been because like his mom didn't love him? Or
Women.
yeah,
While women get no grace at
no
all.
grace, and it makes all the difference.
Men get boys will be boys. I've never heard girls will be girls or,
Yeah,
you know, anything like that. That guy, I did a video, I don't know if you guys saw it, but the guy who was like saying that, he was like, I'm just a guy. I'm just a man. Like saying stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah, I
It was
did.
like,
mm-hmm.
I was like, bro, you're like 29. What are you talking about?
It
You're just a
doesn't
guy.
work the same as like I'm just a girl. Like
It don't
it's cute
work.
because we don't have that whole like girls will be girls saying. It's like this is our only way of saying like girls will be girls. Like
Mhm.
Yeah, that's new. That's new. We've
and
been
that's
ashamed
funny.
to say that. Yeah, and it is funny because it's like, oh, yeah, I don't know. That it's like letting people have like a peek into behind the curtains, you know? Because women always have to present this front like, no, I know what to do. Like, it's fine. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, being a man has so many privileges that I've seen. Like once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, I started to tug at that loose thread, and the whole thing kind of unraveled for me. And it's still unraveling because I still find stuff that I'm like, that's nuts. But I remember about a year ago, I went to the store with my son, and we were coming out the store. And the same day, I got called super dad twice.
Oh, yeah. Having him with you at the store.
Yeah.
I don't think nothing of it. Like I'm like, yeah, all right, cool.
But that just goes to show you how many men are not in their kids' lives for it to be that
Right.
big of a deal. Do you know
So
what I mean?
rare. It's so
That's
rare.
just what I think. That's where it comes from. It's
and
like,
also
wow.
how women keep the bar low too.
Yeah, it was women that said it, by the way.
Yeah.
It was two different women that said it to me.
Yeah, because women are the main ones who notice, that type of stuff. We notice that, there are not a lot of fathers in the home or in their kids' lives. So, it's like when you finally see it, it's like, whoa, wow. He seems like such a great dad.
So novel.
I know, but that's how bad it is.
And that's why
Yeah.
I personally make sure, like, every chance I get to, like, tell the truth about my dynamic in my relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hide it. I don't shy away from it. I'm like, my wife does way more than me. She always has. I'm trying to catch up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to match her, and that's my quote unquote competition. You know what I mean? Like, I don't compare myself to men. I don't compare myself to fathers. I am
Comparing yourself to Supermom.
Yeah.
I'm comparing myself to my wife, who is like the best person I
If
know.
men were serious, they really would just judge themselves by comparing themselves to women.
Their woman. Yeah. It's like, what?
Not even to their women. Like I feel like that's why my husband is like, everyone that meets him is like, oh, like he's so special. Or, whenever I talk about him, people are like, he's so special. But he's not special. He just holds himself to the same standard as he's always seen the women he's been surrounded by since childhood. Holding themselves to, like his mom was a boss, all of her sisters were a boss, like had their life together without men. Aw, sovereign. Oh well, he'll be happy to hear you.
Some guys are special, man. Come on now, that's a good answer, man.
Based on some of the stuff that we know, like he's like a gem. So
Yeah, that's good. It's nothing wrong. I mean, obviously, the way that I think my wife is special, even though she's the smartest person I've ever met. You know what I mean? My wife has never lied to me. My wife has never let me down. She never disappointed me. And I've been with her for 18 years. That's crazy. Like, that's like, as a man, I think that sounds crazy to me because of how much I've let my wife down and how often I've let people down in general. But when I think about women in general, I can also kind of say the same thing about most of the women that have been in my life. You know what I mean? Like, my grandmother never let me down. My aunties never let me down.
Right.
My ex-girlfriend, she never let me down. You know what I mean? Like, all the women that I knew, they never let me down either. They never lied to me. They never put me on. But the men in my life constantly let me down.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
The men in my life they constantly failed at protecting me, or they constantly failed in so many other ways, whereas the women like almost never failed. So we as men would be exponentially better if we like matched what the women were doing, the output of the women, the productivity of women. If we could just match it, if we could just at this point, let's get around it. Let's get, you know what I mean? Let's get in the vicinity of the productivity as women. And I think humanity could like heal itself. But right now it's like men are just married to this idea that men can't be better. Well, we shouldn't have to be better. And we would rather tell women that they are also the problem as opposed to just telling men that we can fix the problem. It's always like, oh, but women too. But women too. But women too. But what about women?
What about,
And I'm like,
what about when women do it? Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm like, do what? What do you want?
Right.
Oh my God.
I thought y'all were leaders. Like,
I thought we was a leader.
why are you
man.
waiting for women to fix something before you just fix it? That's crazy. That's not a leadership quality.
Imagine if men just cared more about what their wives or baby mamas or whoever thought over guys, over the approval of other men. How much better this world would
We'd
be.
be living
That
in the
alone,
year,
it wouldn't even
we'd be
exist.
living in the
Right.
year
Wouldn't even
10,000. Yeah.
Oh my
Absolutely.
God. And
We'd
they
be
don't
living
and
like
they
the
don't
Jetsons.
understand it. I don't even think they understand that.
They don't. They don't. That male validation, well, I think what me and Lisa was saying earlier, that's that disease. That's that mental, the mental disease I be talking about. I'm like, because I think racism is a mental disease. I think it functions very
Absolutely.
much like a mental disease. I think
Absolutely.
misogyny functions very much like a mental disease. It shows up to me in the very same ways because the cognitive dissonance it takes to uphold these ideologies
Yeah.
and perpetuate them against people in your community who you should be protecting that do nothing but protect you and help you out and whatever. If that's not sick, if that, you know what I mean? Like, you know, if that's not something, I don't know what is, because it just doesn't make any sense.
I agree.
And the fact that we never question it, we never look
Yeah.
inward, we never, you know what I mean? It's never that.
Yeah.
It's always like projection, obfuscation. You know, let's muddy the waters and, you know, keep moving around blindly. Like that's the goal. So.
And the real catch-22 for women too is that if we pull back and we stop doing the labor, I'm afraid that that's not going to like motivate men. Like things will just get worse for everybody. Like living conditions will just get worse. Men will be more lonely, more angry,
more prone
less
to violence.
educated. How many men were literally pushed through like school and life and, you know, motivated like in those like last moments of like, okay, like I'm about to fail everything. It's like, no, let's sit down. Let's figure it out. Like, who is that? Is that usually another man or is that a woman? Like a mom, an aunt or grandma or whatever.
It's a woman. And I think that's happened with like 85% of men.
Right.
But because we know that's the part of me that don't believe that most men will ever get better. Like I hate to have that mindset like, oh, most of them are beyond help, but we know like a lot of them would, if we were on our last leg, a lot of them, instead of looking within and trying to be better, a lot of them would just take themselves out.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the small part of me that's like, I don't know if most of them would get better. I do think some will. Like they would be like, okay, this is my last chance. You know, if all the women backed away and we just kind of like, you know, formed matriarchal communities, whatever, away from them or whatever, it would get way worse before it got better. They would just attack us. They wouldn't want to get better. They wouldn't say, "Oh, guys, come on, let's have a roundtable discussion. We need to figure out how we can be better."
Right.
You know, they will just say, "Well, if they're not gonna give us the coochie, we just finna go take it. If they're not gonna
That's
give
what
us
they're doing
this,
right now.
that's what I'm saying. That's what they're doing with the
And
laws right now."
Yeah, so like in California, there's like this sue happy lawyer who is going around these small businesses and suing them for having ladies' night as like part of this umbrella discrimination lawsuit.
And that's why I'm saying most of them can't. They won't get better.
Yeah, they confuse leadership and oppression.
So you've heard of him, Pub?
Yes, I know that. Yeah. I was sad when I heard that story because that guy lost his business. It was like, I saw
you
the whole
serious?
interview. Yeah, he lost the case. He lost the case and it was a restaurant owner. He lost the case. Yep.
This was so egregious. I heard it all the way in Texas.
Because of one night out the week?
Yeah, he did the same thing that, like, you know, we
every
all been
clubs
to ladies'
do.
nights. Yeah, every club does that. If women don't show up, I'm not showing up. I'm not going to no club with a bunch of dudes. If y'all not letting it,
they were invented to get women in the door.
That's the whole point of them.
It's always the first question. Yeah.
If you're not letting women in free before 10, I'm not going. Like, I wouldn't go to the club. You're not letting women in free at all. I want the clubs where all women in for free, and I'll pay. You could double my entry fee. I'll pay $50 again. Let the women in for free. Like, what are you talking about?
Hold on.
You suing for that?
So he lost his business because
he lost his business.
And it had been open for like what, 10 years?
10 years, yep.
And all the same servers had like gotten to know that community as like family.
It was a community restaurant.
Yeah.
So crazy.
It wasn't like no chain, like he owned, it was like a local, and it was a solid, it looked good. It was like,
wholesome
it looked fun.
Family business.
Good, wholesome family business. When he interviewed, if that was me, I would have either been irate or I would have been like very, like, it wouldn't have been any, like, he was like, just like, yeah, I guess we got to close it. And, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I would have
I
been like,
know.
these mother, like, they'd had to
Yeah.
bleep out the whole interview. I'd have just been sobbing the whole time. Like, it was nuts.
That's heartbreaking. Well, I have good news for us. I think Pub said he is available to stay for our mailbag segment today. So do y'all want to take a quick break and then jump back in?
Yeah.
Sure.
Sounds good to me.
Do it. Welcome back, everybody. Let's dip into our mailbag. What's in there today, Gwen?
But we have one that says, hi, everyone. There is a pet peeve I have where anytime a married woman calls out issues regarding men, marriage, romance, then men say this: no one is forcing you to stay married. Then why are you still married? So get a divorce then. All of these three statements are annoying because they sound in favor of divorce. Like they are pushing you towards divorce, especially the no one's forcing you to stay married, while simultaneously being threatened if you ever did divorce. If you actually follow through with a divorce, they would attack you. Like they are anti-divorce themselves, but pushing you towards divorce to prove a point. With no one is forcing you to stay married. When men say this, do they want people to get divorced or not? The statement is very unclear. I am wondering if you can address these subtle attacks that men have on married women who call out the truth on your podcast. Thanks.
That's a good question.
That's a good question. I get that one a lot.
I do
People are
too.
like, if you hate men so much, why are you married then?
Yep.
Like,
I got it
guess.
yesterday.
Guess. Like, you're so dumb. Literally.
Maybe because I don't hate all men, dummy.
Right.
Exactly. They swear
That's-
I hate
that's
all
Because
good.
you're
men.
supposed to be the exception.
Mhm.
If
I
you're
thought it
married like
wasn't all
that-
men. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Y'all want me to take a shot
Yeah,
at
you
it?
go first.
Please, yeah.
I think they be bluffing when they say get a divorce, especially if it's your husband telling you that. Like if you go to him and you're like complaining about something and he said, well, you can always get a divorce. Like, I just think that they're bluffing. And even guys that are not married that are like on these podcasts or whatever, it's in every which way that they can blame you as the woman, they're just going to blame it, whether it makes sense or not, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's just in the heat of the moment. It's like, well, nobody's telling you to do that. Well, you're the one who fought for divorce. You're the one who got a divorce. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. They're going to find a way to blame you. And I think that's really just what it boils down to from my perspective.
Allergic to responsibility.
Pretty much. I think somebody said this to me yesterday because I said I have come to the realization that marriage as an institution should be abolished. Right? Like,
Wait,
like
say
I'm married.
more.
I said
Say
the same
more.
thing.
Yeah. So marriage as an institution should be abolished because the advent of it was to subjugate women. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Yes.
Thank you.
you know,
Yes.
from its
That's why
inception,
it started. Yeah.
that's why it started. And I'm of the firm belief that nothing can start off like that and be good. I don't think it's salvageable. You know,
Absolutely.
same thing with the concept of race, same thing with the concept of gender. So, you know, that's why I'm I'm anti-racist, but I'm also a race abolitionist and I'm also a gender abolitionist, right? Like, I don't think that any of these social constructs benefit society in large. So marriage is no different. Marriage is an institution that from its very, inception was meant to subjugate women in an inferior position where they would have to be reliant on a man, and to open themselves up to a ton of abuse. So
just to continue a bloodline for a man that doesn't even push out the baby. Like,
yeah,
you push out the baby and the baby gets a man's last name. That's insane.
that's crazy. And then also the labor, right?
Yeah.
Every man deserves
The
a wife slave.
invisible labor that's not written in any contract. You just have to know that it's there.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
nobody ever writes it into the contract of like, you have to cook, clean, whatever. Men just don't do it. So then you have to do it because somebody has to do it.
100%.
Allergic to responsibility. I'm telling you, like,
Mhm. Put it on the shirt. Have a man sneezing.
Yeah.
I think I heard this recently too. A guy had got his wife a gift, and the gift was a mop, and he got her a mop. It was an egg apron. It was an egg apron
right.
scenario.
Oh yeah,
Oh, the ballerina farm?
Ballerina Farms egg
Yeah.
apron scenario, right? He got his wife a mop for her anniversary, for their anniversary.
Hell no.
No.
Yeah.
Jail.
And I was like,
I
wow.
think they just do that for like a shock factor thing. I don't think that's real. I think off camera he actually does kind of like love and spoil her and all that. Like he has to.
Oh, the
And then
ballerina
this was
farms?
He hate that woman.
No. Yeah, he doesn't.
Really? Y'all
Yeah.
think it's...
Yes.
100% he hates
That
woman.
egg
Yes.
apron was to remind her. I don't care what nobody say.
Mm-hmm.
That was to remind her of her place. You're not going to Greece. This is you are a farm worker. This is what
They've been
you
to
do.
Greece though.
I don't know. I'm talking about when she said that's what they probably did go, but I'm
Yeah,
just
they've been to
saying.
Greece.
But the egg apron,
See?
no. But the egg apron was that. I don't care what nobody say. That woman
And-
threw her life away and gave up everything
Yes.
to become a baby factory. There's no way she's happy. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel.
They only went to Greece like a couple months ago. So that means he did it after all the backlash.
All the backlash.
Everybody
Which
got on him about
Might as well not do it. Might
It was
as well
drawing
not
a
do
bunch
it
of
then.
negative attention to them.
Yeah.
it. It was a here, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. It was
Exactly.
a shut up trip. Yeah.
A shut up
Here,
trip.
huh? Go to Greece
Yeah.
real quick, man.
Yeah.
If he
Damn.
got her a mop, listen, do you know that's worse than an egg apron to me? A
Yeah.
mop?
Yeah.
He got her a mop.
I think they're gonna get progressively more humiliating until she finally says something.
Oh,
But this was
Well,
a
this was
different-
this was a different guy.
This is
I
a
don't-
different guy. Yeah, this is a
wasn't
dude I know.
ballerina
This is a
That
guy I know.
Oh, okay,
crazy.
okay.
And you said he hate her? You know for a fact.
The ballerina farms, he hates
Oh
her.
no,
yeah,
the
for sure.
mop
No,
guy.
no. I don't think he hates her. I just think he's well. I mean,
A mop?
I think all,
Did she say she wanted that mop?
no. I think most men hate their women, so I wouldn't put it
I
past him
agree.
if he hated her. But yeah,
Why do you
so-
think that is? I have my theory.
Because men are conditioned. We look at women with a ton of disdain for several reasons. Jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
We look at women through this lens of like, she's so weak that it makes me hate her. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you ever saw like V for Vendetta. There was a part in there where one of the people was talking about how I think it was the doctor. It was the doctor that he ended up giving the rose to and she died or whatever, he killed her. But she was saying like, she started to hate the people there because they were so weak and pathetic. You know what I'm saying? Like she didn't hate them before. It was them being weak and pathetic in her eyes that made her hate them. And I think that men view women like that, like as that's because if you listen to men talk about women all the time, you guys are weaker than us.
Mm-hmm.
So then that would bring forward the most men are not capable of love argument. Because if you're not going to love your wife, who the fuck are you going to love? No,
I totally-
nobody.
I totally
Right?
think
Other
most
men.
Yeah.
That's who you're gonna
well,
love.
No, they don't love other men.
They
They're
don't love other men
terrified
either,
of other
though.
men.
Yeah.
They see
don't
other
love
men. They see other men as competition, and like they'll snake you in 2 seconds. They don't care about other men.
That's so lonely. God, that sounds
is.
terrible.
It is. It's scary for men. But if
Yeah.
you loved other men, you would tell other men the truth, and you would want to see other men grow, right?
Yeah.
Like I love men. I love men. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I have an immense amount of love for humanity in general, but I love men. Like as well. You know what I mean? Like I don't separate them from humanity, even though we try to separate ourselves from humanity. But like I love men.
True.
And I want to see men do better. And that's why I'm like, hey, men, we can be better. We can actually be decent human beings. And let's all do it together. And I'm right there with you. And let's roll up our sleeves and all that stuff, right? But men don't give a fuck about other men. Men don't want to see other men do better. Men don't want to see men.
Just a bucket of crabs.
That's it. It's literally a crabs in a barrel mentality.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
I always say they're in survival mode all the time, and I don't think you can love anybody when you're
When you're in
always in survival mode, and they always are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just another
mama
one of
loved
those
me, though.
layers, huh? Of course.
My mama loved me and she was in survival. We was in survival
But I'm saying
mode.
men.
So was my
A
husband.
woman
yeah.
in survival
Yeah.
mode that drives her. That will drive
Right.
her to
Because
love
women
you,
are leaders.
show her
Women
love.
are
Yeah.
alphas.
Yep.
Stop.
Yep.
I'm serious. I
She's
fully
right, though.
believe this. People always accuse me of rage baiting with this. I literally think women are alphas because you can do just about, like I hate to say this, but you can do so much to a woman before she's just going to fold, like
I agree.
Yes.
before she's just going to give
They're
up
way
on life.
tougher. Mhm.
Way tougher. Like she will be in a shelter with her kids, before
Yeah.
just giving up and, like a lot of men do, just running out and leaving them to somebody else. I
Yep.
don't know. It's just like that's alpha behavior. Running out is beta behavior.
Definitely.
I don't even know if it's beta behavior. It's like
It's
something
weak.
else.
It shows you how weak you
yeah,
are.
it's just weak.
Like I automatically know that when I know guys run out on their kids or they run out on their families, whatever. I'm like, the first word that comes to mind is he's weak.
Weak.
Like
Absolutely.
it got too hard and he just couldn't.
I
you
would
know what I-
never
Couldn't hang.
make an excuse for a man that runs out of like
Me either.
I got another video to do with saying that he was like, man, he's a man and sometimes he just gets overwhelmed. And I was like, what?
What? Yeah.
What are you talking? You got kids, bro. I don't want to hear. I don't.
Mhm.
There's some Hey, man.
I know exactly what
You know what I'm saying? When it comes to kids, I got a real...
You signed up for this.
You
If
signed up for
anything,
that,
it should make
brother.
you go harder. If
It
anything.
should. I don't want to hear that shit. That's my, like, I'll be empathetic. I'll lend an ear to you with certain things that, I'll hear you out, you know what I'm saying? But like, when you start talking about them babies, I don't give a flying fuck. Like,
Right.
I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to hear it was hard. It was tough. I be sitting there like,
I was fighting my demons.
I was fighting my demons.
Imagine if you also had to birth it, though.
Yep.
Imagine if you also had to breastfeed it. Imagine if your body was never the same again. Imagine you needed 6 weeks to heal after giving birth to.
That's what you was put here to do.
And that's like physically. The healing mentally takes at least a couple years.
No, you're supposed to go
Right.
through that. That's what women are put here for.
That's your purpose.
Glocktavius, you were not invited today.
Yeah, you see, you feel me? You feel me? You feel me, bro?
That's definitely y'all purpose.
Right. Yeah.
Purpose driven.
That's what you was put here to do.
Biological function.
Oh
That's your
my God.
biological function. And that's why women are weaker than men, so that you guys could give birth. Like, it's the craziest.
Oh my
Makes no
God.
sense.
Yeah, right.
You got to make it make sense. I've been arguing with men about that all week. I feel like in different lives about how yesterday it was women are women are weaker than men. And I was like, they're not. And I was like, what strength are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, where do we, I was like, yeah, cool. I can do more push-ups than 90% of women. Fine. I can do more pull-ups than 99%. Fine. I can squat, whatever, right? Fine. But I can't give birth to a child. Like, I was talking to dudes. I was like, you guys work out, right? And they were like, yeah. And I worked out for freaking 15 years. I was like, yeah, I love working out. I'll tell you something right now. My wife is stronger than me. Like, my wife she can do a plank longer than I can.
Mm-hmm. The endurance exercises.
Yeah.
You should see the men that show up to my hot yoga sculpt class.
You
They're
should see the men
literally
in my martial arts
screaming.
classes.
Yeah, they're like screaming and groaning halfway through the class. And the women are just like normal in a side plank, like
Yeah.
doing
Yep.
whatever they need to be doing. The men are like, oh, yeah.
Oh my
Calm
God.
down, sir. Like,
In my dojo, we have to spend like an hour prep to like warm our bodies up. So our classes are split 50-50. It's like men and women in the adult classes. And by the halfway mark, it's 99.9% of the time the men who are just huffing and puffing
Tapping
and
out.
just on the
Yep.
floor dying, while the women are just still standing. We're just drinking our water bottles, chatting. Like this is part of our routine. Like
Not the natural leaders.
right, not the natural.
I think it is.
Men might just be mentally weak. Like, women are just
Oh,
like, I
sure.
can just go, like, I can just push through. And then
Right.
the men are like, this is hard because hard things
Right.
make me tired, But the functional strength that you were talking about, Lisa, right now, that's exactly what I always touch on. I'm like, yeah, and on average, women are more flexible than men. They're more pliable than men. And you're telling me that that's not strength? That's fucking, if you can't touch your toes, what does it matter if you can bench press 300 pounds?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sir, tell me about the
That's
last
so
time you
true.
had a cold.
Yeah,
Tell me your war story, please.
yeah.
About how you
Like,
almost died on the battlefield of a common cold.
I was shut down for 3 weeks because, I had congestion.
Oh my God.
So a woman once described like her husband coughing so bad that he fell off a couch and it like gave her the ick because he was like so clearly like faking it and like
Faking.
flung
Oh my
himself
God.
off the couch. And she was like, I just can never look at him the same again. I'm like,
Really?
girl, I do
Drama
not
queen.
blame you.
Oh, you gotta leave at that point.
Yeah,
You do that
that's
type of
so-
shit,
oh
I'm
my
out.
God,
That's top tier level manipulation. You know what I'm saying?
Drama.
Like it's
Yeah.
deeper than the lab. It's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
You're trying that bad to get me to be like, oh baby, I'll make you some
Oh my
soup.
God.
Oh, thanks, mommy. Like that shit is
Oh.
crazy. But
ick.
that is definitely that's definitely what I have observed, like
Yeah.
in these conversations when I talk to men. Like they talk about strength, they talk about all these things that are conveniently
Right.
things where men are stronger than women, and I'm like, but that's not. There's many different strengths. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like I think women are overall more intelligent than men, but men are, men have their strengths, right? Like we, like whatever they are. I don't know how men are more intelligent than women, but I'm sure because there's like 7 different versions of intelligence or whatever the hell
Right.
it is, right? So I'm
Spatial
sure men,
awareness.
spatial awareness. Fuck it, we
Yeah.
got it. Cool.
Yeah.
I give us
Yeah.
that. I think women get lost all the time. I think I even read something on how that's like.
And I don't think the differences are like huge either. We have to like
No.
keep that in mind. It's like, I mean, strength wise, yeah. Strength wise, I would say.
I
Like,
ain't talking about strength. I'm
but-
talking about mentally.
Right.
I don't know, man. I think women are like significantly more intelligent than men overall.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
Do you think it's the way we're we can multitask, but do you think it's social? Like a social conditioning? They
could be.
They don't have to try as hard to do certain things.
Yeah, no excuses for girls.
I don't know what it is. Don't ask me why. I'm not even, that I don't care. It's like asking me like, why are we here? Like, I don't give a fuck. We're here. But, I'm like, just the conversations that I'm able to have with women versus the conversations I can have with men are completely different. Forget the smartest person I know. The smartest people I know are women.
Yeah.
And I know some really intelligent men, right? But they're just not, you know what I mean? Like
they're low vibrational. It's the big booty Latinas that we were just talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. The majority of men that, like I come across in your lives, it's like, I always tell people that's why I don't let men into my lives. I'm like, no. I've seen y'all. I've seen y'all what you can do. I watch Public's lives and no, thank you. He has a lot more patience than I do because y'all are speaking at a 3rd grade level in there.
And yelling.
I still don't know how he does it every day.
I really don't.
I think I asked you this before, but maybe I forgot what you said. How the fuck do you do it? Because I start getting a headache after like 30 seconds.
You guys are women. I understand. You guys are tired of it. You've been dealing with it.
It's true. Yeah.
For 30,
we just don't have
25.
The patience. I'm telling you,
you're just
don't
tired
have the
of
patience.
It.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
simple.
It's like working at a restaurant and cooking all day. And when you get home, you don't want to fucking cook. The last thing you want to do if you've been chopping up shit all day is cook, or you've been driving all day. You want to drive in traffic. You like, it's different when I was getting paid for it, but doing it for free? Right. Absolutely not. Not even for myself. That's how it is with me and men. I'm like, I talk to men every day, but I haven't had to deal with men from this angle. I've been on the other end. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been, now I'm a director. You know what I mean? Like I'm used to being the actor. Now I'm the director. And it's easier for me to deal with the talent now because I'm a director. You know what I mean? When I was an actor, it was hard. I would argue with the actors and da-da-da-da-da. But now it's like, I have all the patience in the world, right? At least for the time being, because I haven't had a lifetime of like suffering men, and being accosted by men and yelled at while I walk down the street with my kid by a man out of his car, or had a man touch me or rape me, or anything like that. Like I don't understand. I don't have any of those experiences, right? I have a deadbeat dad, and I have 30 fights under my belt with men and boys. You know what I'm saying? Growing up, that's about it. And I got called stupid a bunch of times by men, but that's it though. I've been I'm at the top of the food chain when it comes to men, so I didn't have to really suffer too much when it came to men. You know what I mean? Like I stood up for myself. I was funny. I was tall. I was athletic. I didn't really have to like go through too much beating down for men. I didn't get bullied.
I be yelling at you. I be yelling at my phone. I be like, oh my God, hang up on him. Oh my God, please drop him. I'm telling you, I have to usually swipe away and come back. Cause I'd be so irritated.
I bet they wouldn't be that brave in real life though. Like,
they never is.
Right. Cause like they have the added, protection of that wall.
And I love that for them. And I don't mind having the conversations.
It almost makes it. Yeah. I think that's more effective for sure, because I think in real life they would like submit to you or whatever.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have the
be
conversation. Able to help it. Yeah, exactly.
They wouldn't have the conversation.
They would just be like, "Oh yeah, you're right, bro. You're right. Yeah.
I got you, man.
Yeah,
I heard what you're saying.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of that.
Yeah,
like,
they just like back out, like all friendly, like
and then you ask them like a week later, like, "Remember the thing I was talking about? Yeah, it was the thing when you said the other." And I'm like, "No, you you didn't care." So it's a lot of that, definitely. Online is an odd place. I like it. Did we get through it?
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was really amazing. I feel like we could definitely talk to you for hours. Ryan's been doing his little wrap up signal.
You like, wrap it up, B.
I'm like, I know, right? I'm like, one more second. He has to do this all the time. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm so glad we got to have you on, because it's very validating, as women, just every once in a while to have like a man who gets it and is not afraid to speak publicly about it. I just love, like, I did not understand your username at first, and now I'm like, oh, I get it now. I get it now.
I appreciate it, you guys. I love having this conversation with you. It was, I mean, it's good. like I said, like Lisa was saying, we could talk forever.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah.
And I also just wanted to tell you guys that everything that I say and everything, all of my like talking points and all it, I literally got all of it from women.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an original thought. You know what I mean? It's just coming from a man.
Yeah, you recognize it as the truth, though.
Yeah, I just recognize it as a truth. I don't want to I want people to understand, like, I'm never trying to, like, take credit or, you know what I mean? Like, I know that everything that I'm saying, you've said 1,000 times and better than I've said it, you know, but I'm just like, it's my turn to say it because we all have to say it. You know what I mean?
It
doesn't matter.
validates it in a different way,
It
which
does.
is so
It does.
important. It creates a different space for it to exist in that men are more likely to come to,
Yeah.
you know?
And also,
And
it's just the fact
that's
that
so
you
important.
get it.
Yeah.
Isn't that the biggest appeal? You get it. Because like when I was on your live earlier and I was saying that a lot of guys don't even know that we can infer what they're saying. Because they'd be like, you putting words
How
in my
you know
mouth.
me?
You don't even know me, and you putting words in my mouth. I didn't say that exact thing that exact way.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Well,
no,
it's
but
like,
we're
we're not
inferring.
stupid.
But that's the thing. You, even if you are listening to women and you're learning from women, you still get it to the point where you can articulate it in your own way and make it make sense.
That's important. That's what I was kind of saying in the beginning, too, because a lot of guys will just start speaking for women. And it's like, instead of speaking to men about women.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's because you're parroting, right?
You're just
But
parroting.
see, yeah, you have to be able to be self-aware coupled with being able to see it. And then that's what we call an evolved man, which is just like a man who's close to understanding what a woman has to understand in order to exist.
As close as I could get.
And the reason why it's so special with you is because
I'm black, I know.
no, stop. No, that's a big.
But
No,
yes,
you know what?
but
That could be an
But
advantage.
Yeah.
But
it's crazy.
but no, these guys, these red pill guys, you know how they come on there and they try to challenge you and say, I could do what you just pandering to women. I could do that. None of them could do it.
I'll be telling them
Because
to do it.
they're
I'll be like,
but they won't
Do it
last.
then, yeah.
They won't
I'm like, do
last because their misogyny is so deep. We would clock it
It'll
in
come
2
out.
seconds.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean?
true.
They really just, and I've said it, they just think women are stupid. And I'm not even joking.
Oh, I
they
already know.
literally just think women are stupid.
We know you're not.
Yeah, right? And they're just like, yeah, I can trick them to, and I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, do you not, I don't think you guys understand. I think a part of it is it comes off to them as it's effortless for me. I do
Right.
think that they, and it is.
I was going to say
is-
it comes across very effortless.
Yeah, it is. No, it is
In a
effortless,
good
but
way.
I'm saying.
But
in a
they
good-
think
yeah, I'm saying-
your intentions are different.
But they think my
They're
intentions are different.
projecting your
Yes.
intentions.
Yep.
Yes. But
Exactly.
they
So if
see
they
it,
were to ever say that stuff, it would be to pander to women. That's
it
all.
would- it would sound
all that's
crazy.
telling you.
That's what
And-
I'm
and they
saying. They
don't-
wouldn't be able to do it. They just
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to.
and I think that that's the thing that messes them up because they're like, see how easy it is? I can do that too. And I'm like, yeah, but in theory, you could if you actually believed it. You have.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
That's
is
exactly
you
it.
guys don't believe it. I believe it. Like I know it's true. You know what I'm saying? It's not. This is not a faith-based ideology that I subscribe to. I'm living in like facts and reality and studies and data and observable truth. Like
You're
it's
not
just
letting
like
your
every-
emotions cloud your mind.
Yep.
No, not even a little bit.
Exactly.
Like I don't care. And the reason why they do that, Sovereign, is because they are that whole like you don't know me. That's straight out of a narcissistic abuse. You know what I mean? Like that's all that is narc abuse.
Yeah.
And they're just doing it on everybody. They're just like, well, I'm a narc with my girl, so I might as well be a narc to the world. And they try to do it to everybody, and then people are clocking their shit, and they're like, what? You can see me? And we're like,
Literally.
yeah, fool. I'm not your wife. Like, I don't have any babies with you, bro. I'm not emotionally attached to you. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. My judgment's not clouded. Yeah, you
My
look
judgment's
like
not clouded
you
at
look exactly like the loser you are, sir.
you can't.
Sorry.
I'm not. I don't have to make a concession to make myself feel better too. Like I do have kids with him, so yes,
Right,
he's not
exactly.
that bad,
Yeah,
guys.
exactly.
Oh my God, every time.
That's exactly it.
Every time. Well, we usually like to wrap up with a recommendation for our listeners. And I was wondering if you had one, because my recommendation was going to be, you know, all of your content and your
Facts.
children's book and all that.
Facts.
But you can also throw one out. I'm sure they wouldn't mind.
My recommendation would be if you guys like this type of content. I don't know, BPG 313. I love her content. She's funny. and she is good, and I learned a lot from her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she was on the live earlier, right?
Yeah, Shan.
Yeah, she was.
She was hilarious
shenanigans.
when she was talking
They are
about
both very
these
funny.
She's super
slapping
funny.
you.
and very,
Oh my
very
God.
smart. I love
Yeah,
listening
there's-
to them talk.
And for men, I would say Fatal Pros. I like Ex-Patriarch.
Oh,
I've never-
yeah.
I never
Love
heard
it.
of
Yeah,
them.
those are the type of dudes that
Check
I
him
know
Mhm.
that for me, like when you talk about like vetting or whatever, like I vetted them. The way that how deep they go, that they
Yeah.
understand it. You know what I mean? Like there's always another layer that they can uncover. And I'm like, that's how you know that they actually get it, because it keeps going. It never stops
Right.
when you think about it, you know? So yeah, those would be my recommendations.
I like when whenever I see you and Mr. Jones like on the same panel. Have you ever thought about like, I don't know, collabing a lot or more or whatever? Because y'all
We
are
did.
perfect together.
We did
It's
a
the
podcast.
best.
So you
Yeah.
have a podcast or you went on
No,
his?
I did it with Mr. Jones. I mean, it was supposed to be more consistent, but we, you know what I'm saying? It will be, but, you know, because we live in different places, so it's been kind of tough. But, and we stream a lot, you know what I'm saying? Like, we
Okay.
are full-time
Okay.
content creators, both of us. So it's harder for me to do anything outside of what I'm doing consistently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even if
Yeah.
I want, like, I
for
want to do a
sure. It's
podcast,
hard.
but
Yeah.
I can't do it.
No, it's a
don't.
lot of work.
It's
It's a lot of
It's a
work.
lot. Let me just
And you
warn
guys got help. Like, you guys
Yeah.
have help. Like, you
We
have,
have
like, I have group. Like, it would be,
We
you
have
got
amazing
professional help.
professional help. Shout
Yep.
out to Siren Sound. Shout out to
Yep.
Ryan at Siren
Ryan.
Sound.
Yes.
Your
Ryan.
mic
Yeah.
sound
Thank you,
good.
Ryan.
Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you.
So yeah, I need that, but
Yep.
I probably won't be able to do it until 4 or 5 years. Like I don't know.
God, that's
I gotta-
specific.
I got to grow the operation until I could get some help. So yeah, it's
Okay.
just
Yeah.
me. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
for
I'll
sure.
when we do the podcast thing, I'll release it, and I also would love to because I did it with Sovereign. But Lisa, I would love for you to join, and Gwen, we could do it individually. I usually do it individually, and we do like reaction videos, right?
Oh,
like
that'd
what
be
I do, but
amazing,
just
yeah.
I'll bring you on,
Yeah.
and you guys can react. I think that'll be
Oh
freaking
yeah,
fun.
that'd be so
So,
fun.
Sovereign did it.
Anytime.
Was it fun, Sovereign? Did
Oh
you like
yeah,
it?
I
'Cause
want
had
to
a
do
good
it. I
time.
want to do it again. That video was funny.
That was a
Ooh,
good video.
It was a
do
good
it.
video.
Yeah,
Okay.
super funny.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
All righty, guys.
Good
Talk to you
night.
next time. Bye. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.